All right, and moving on, the BRICS Virtual Summit is being convened today by Brazilian President Lula da Silva. The meeting will focus on US President Donald Trump's trade policies and efforts by emerging economies to enhance multilateral cooperation. Well, India will be represented at the summit by External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar. Leaders from China, Russia and South Africa are also expected to participate. Chinese President Xi Jinping and Russian President Vladimir Putin have confirmed their attendance. President Xi is scheduled to deliver a key address. Now, the meeting comes amid renewed tensions over US tariffs on BRICS nations and follows recent engagements between China, Russia and India at the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit in Tianjin. Meanwhile, India and the European Union are holding the 13th round of negotiations for a free trade agreement. The talks aim to strengthen economic ties and enhance market access between the two partners. Two senior EU commissioners, Christophe Hansen and Maros Sefcovic, are visiting India this week, which coincides with the trade talks. Now, so far, 11 chapters of the agreement have been provisionally closed, including those on intellectual property rights, customs, digital trade, and SMEs or small and medium-sized enterprises. The talks are part of a broader effort to conclude the FTA by the end of this year. Now, India and the EU are also set to release a new strategic vision document on September 17th. The document will outline the long-term cooperation across trade, technology, and security. Further engagements, including the Trade and Technology Council meeting and a planned summit next year, are also on the agenda. And for more on this, we're being joined by our Assistant Editor for Foreign Affairs, Siddhant Sibul. Siddhant, what can you tell us?
Well, we know that August was a packed month for diplomatic engagements and do expect the momentum to continue this month as well. In fact, this week we see two significant developments. First, of course, the BRICS Virtual Summit. Interestingly, the Virtual Summit comes exactly a week after that big summit in Tianjin, the SCO Summit. Now, this BRICS Summit, hosted by Brazil, focuses on Donald Trump's tariff, which has been a big worry for countries like India and Brazil. In fact, both India and Brazil have been on the receiving end of the comments and, of course, tariffs made by the US leadership and the US president, of course. Now, we know that when it comes to India-US relationship, a lot of insulting comments by the US leadership, whether it's Donald Trump terming Indian economy as a dead economy, whether it is his trade advisor or the Commerce Secretary of the United States making those remarks. In fact, the US Commerce Secretary last week said that India should leave the BRICS grouping. Now, of course, India remains unfazed. India has its own policy, which is known as strategic autonomy. And today's BRICS Virtual Summit will see India pointing out to its concerns over the tariffs. Now, we also know that this week also sees the big engagement with the EU, which includes, of course, as you pointed out, the FTA talks, the visit of the ministers, also known as commissioners, the counter-terror talks, which will happen in Brussels, where India is going to highlight its concerns over cross-border terrorism. There's a big delegation of EU security policy traveling to India, almost 30 member-strong delegation. And that shows that how India and the EU are working together, finding convergences, even as both work towards the big summit that will happen in the first quarter of next year. In fact, the Indian Prime Minister and European leaders held talks last week where the focus was on early completion of FTA by end of this year, something that both sides committed during the visit of Ursula von der Leyen in the month of January. So it is going to be a packed week, something that comes at a time of increased geopolitical uncertainty.
Absolutely. Thanks, Siddharth, for getting us and our viewers up to speed about the latest developments.